Welcome to Canadian Football League Weekly, presented by the World of Football. Each week, we recap the games played up north in the CFL, and we also look ahead to next week's games. Our mission here is to educate American football fans on the teams and players in the CFL in the hopes that you will come to love this league as much as we do. I'm Randy Snow, and I'm joined by my son, Adam.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? What a weekend in the CFL. Holy smoke. There's been so much good football. I was missing one of the games and you texted me and I'm like, there's no way. This makes like 3 straight games this weekend that have just been absolute awesome. And I missed that one a little bit. We'll talk about it, but what a fan. Well, and we'll talk about there's even a crazy number. We got the graphic from the CFL X page of just how tight this weekend was. So looking forward to talking about it. So I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah, you said that this was the best week so far, and I totally agree. This was the best 4 games in 1 week that I've seen all season long. And this is like the halfway point in the season, so everybody was just really on their game this week. But let's start with the Thursday night game, and this was week 10 in the CFL. Thursday night saw the BC Lions defeat the Hamilton Tiger Cats 41-38 in overtime. What a way to start the weekend. In the first quarter, Hamilton wide receiver Isaiah Wooden returned a punt 84 yards for a touchdown to make the score 7-3 in favor of Hamilton. But BC had the lead at halftime 13-7. The score was tied 28-28 at the end of the third quarter. BC had a 38-35 lead with 38 seconds left in the game, but Hamilton kicked a field goal to send the game into overtime. On Hamilton's overtime possession, BC recovered a Hamilton fumble, which allowed the Lions to kick their game-winning field goal on their possession for a big road win. Both kickers were awesome in this game, but they both were perfect coming into the game this week for the season. They hadn't missed yet. They both missed at least one kick during this game, so their perfect streaks ended in the same game. But man, what a great game this was to watch.
Yeah, it was. And I mean, it snaps Hamilton's win streak. Hamilton was looking for 6 straight?
And I think this would have been 7 straight for them.
Would have been 7 straight. So BC coming in and just snapping that streak was pretty awesome. I thought Nathan Rourke looked awesome. And we'll talk about his stats here in a second. He's doing a lot up there for the Lions. But what a way to end the game. And if you're, Hamilton, just to fumble it like that, overtime, that what a killer there, because this could have been a little more high scoring too had they just not fumbled, because it was something else. So kudos to both these teams. I was thrilled watching this one. So I'll just jump into stats then real quick. How about for the victors? BC Lions quarterback Nathan Rourke, 24 of 40 passing for 408 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. He also ran the ball for 28 yards. And then running back James Butler ran 14 times for 85 yards and a touchdown. He also had 4 catches for 55 yards and added a receiving touchdown on top of that. Then you had wide receiver Justin McInnes. He had 8 catches for 185 yards. Absolutely bonkers. And wide receiver Aiden Eberhardt had 3 catches for 120 yards. So you had 2 receivers with over 100 yards receiving there. That's pretty awesome. Well, when your quarterback throws for over 400 yards, what do you expect?
Yeah.
And then kicker Sean White connected on 4 of 5 field goals, including that game winner in overtime. Clutch when he needed to be. Yeah, he broke his little streak, but you got the win and you got the game-winning kick. I think that's pretty awesome. For the Hamilton side, Hamilton quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell was 23 of 33 passing for 305 yards and 3 touchdowns. So the rare instance where the quarterback with the most passing yards actually won the game for BC. Running back Greg Bell for the Tiger Cats ran the ball 13 times for 65 yards, while wide receiver Tim White led receivers for the team with 5 catches for 85 yards. And then kicker Mark Leggio was 3 of 5 on his field goals during the game. Imagine if he would have connected on both the ones he missed. Different ball game we'd be talking about. So
you glossed over the fact that Nathan Rourke had 408 yards passing. That's awesome.
There were so many stats on that side of the ball. Rourke looked awesome. Like I want to say we've been critical. We've kind of been weary. Like, I mean, they're not winning, but he's looked good. Is it time for a change? Obviously, with a performance like this, you don't change. I think, maybe this is BC finally getting things going. They beat a very good Hamilton team, a scrappy Hamilton.
Yes, they did.
To win over the last 6 weeks. So chalk up to a great road win, especially. So good for BC.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just got better as the weekend went along. On Friday night, it was the Edmonton Elks over the Montreal Alouettes, 23-22. Oh, late in the first quarter, Montreal running back Travis Thies, is how you pronounce his last name, returned a punt 80 yards for a touchdown, giving the Alouettes a 10-1 lead going into the second quarter. Then just before halftime, Edmonton defensive back Tyrell Ford intercepted a pass from McLeod Bethel Thompson and returned it 87 yards for a touchdown, making the score 13-11 in favor of Montreal at the half. Montreal expanded their lead to 19-11 at the end of the third quarter. The Alouettes had a 22-17 lead with 1 minute and 12 seconds left in the game, but Edmonton wide receiver Keon Julian Grant scored his second touchdown of the game with 15 seconds remaining to secure the come-from-behind win on the road for the Elks. Wow, this was another great game. I watched all 4 of these games this weekend, and each one was better than the next. It was just wild.
And this was a game that we talked about last week, that this could be the one where Montreal was kind of in a spot. McLeod Bethel Thompson filling in at quarterback. Edmonton with Cody Fajardo kind of looked a lot better in their last outing. Could this be the one the Edmonton Elks could claim? And they did. They got scrappy. I feel like Montreal just, that especially that pick at the end of the first half, woof. Bad decision. I was looking at that and I was like, who was he throwing to? There was like nobody out in the flat. I could be wrong if I'm trying to remember at the top of my head. And it was just Edmonton guy right there takes it and just nothing but green grass and takes it to the house. But good for Edmonton getting back in the win column. And in front of a rowdy Montreal crowd too. That had to have been a tough one to swallow, especially against the Elks, who have been the worst team in the league, I guess, so far. But with a fight like that, I would say Edmonton isn't that bad as we thought they were. I think Cody Fajardo really played with a chip on his shoulder, and he looked pretty good during the game.
Yeah, I mean, Fajardo played for Montreal last season and the last couple of seasons, and he did really well there. I was shocked when they traded him away after last season. And he's been the backup to Trey Ford for the early part of the season, but he's been the starter for the past few games, and he's played well, but they haven't won until now. But watch out for Edmonton with Cody Fajardo now at the helm.
Yeah, I think it was a decision we kind of saw coming. They were jumping back and forth between the two for a while. It was like, just either you commit to Ford or you got to throw in Fajardo, and they finally decided we're throwing in Fajardo, and we'll see. If this keeps up, we'll see what Trey Ford's future is in the CFL. But let's look at some stats. For Edmonton, the victors, Cody Fajardo was 27 of 38 passing for 289 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also led the team in rushing with 14 yards. That's a crazy stat right there.
Yeah.
Running back Justin Rankin, who we like here on the show, former indoor football player in the Indoor Football League, has been a beast on the field lately. He carried the ball 5 times for 0 yards this week. He did, however, have 4 catches for 88 yards, so he made up for it. And wide receiver Keon Julian Grant, as you mentioned there, had 5 catches for 45 yards and 2 touchdowns, one of them being that game-winning touchdown. Then on the Montreal side, quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson, again filling in for the injured Davis Alexander. He was 10 of 15 for 79 yards, no touchdowns during this game, but he did throw that costly interception at the end of the first half. He was replaced by quarterback Caleb Evans in the second half. Evans completed 14 of 18 passes for 113 yards and a touchdown. Evans completed, I already read that part. Wide receiver Charleston Rambo led the receivers with 8 catches for 51 yards. Kicker Jose Maltos was 3 for 3 on his field goals, the longest of which was from 53 yards. So
Yeah, we gushed about Justin Rankin the last couple of weeks about how well he's playing. I mean, he's just a battering ram out there, and then to have him have no catch or no yards rushing this week, and there was a second person that also ran the ball one time, and he also got 0 yards rushing. So had it not been for Cody Fajardo's big 14 yards in the rushing category, two other guys had 0, so they wouldn't have had any rushing yards at all this week, but they still managed to win the game. So I thought that was pretty strange. And like you said, Bethel Thompson threw that pick just before halftime, and I think the coach had seen enough from him and replaced him after halftime. So that was a really bad interception.
That was a tough one. I don't know if that was enough to yank him, but I mean, that you can't let a team like Edmonton in like that. I think it was just a momentum thing. Clearly, Edmonton had some momentum there because of that, and that could have been a factor. We'll see if they, go back to the other quarterback there. Who was that? Caleb Evans. If they make a change in their next game or not. So we shall wait and see. But hey, kudos to the Elks getting back in the win column.
Yeah, really. Yep, they've been very close the last couple of weeks. All right, well, we don't just talk about the CFL here on our channel. We also have a weekly audio podcast called This Week in the World of Football. This week's episode is going to be number 406. And a few things that we're going to be talking about this week. We're going to be talking about the Duluth Harbor Monsters being back-to-back champions in the Arena League. We're also going to talk about the matchup being set in the Indoor Football League Championship game in 2 weeks. And we're going to interview a couple of authors of a new book about one of the forgotten founding fathers in the NFL by the name of Leo Lyons. So we're looking forward to that. Jeff and John are good friends of ours, and we're looking forward to having them on the show. And also next week is going to be our 8th anniversary show. We started this in August of, 2017. And we've been doing this for 8 years. Man, I guess people aren't tired of it.
Transition.
So keep doing
it. Yeah, we just made the transition from audio. We're starting to do some more live shows. So this show will be live, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you guys are able to come check out the show, have fun with us, chit chat, leave your comments in the live chat, guys. We encourage it. If you got thoughts, leave them down there. But should be a good time. Yeah, I'm looking forward to interviewing Jeff and John. It's a very interesting story they have there with that book. So should be a good time. And the whole purpose of that podcast is to touch on all the different great things happening in the world of football. So be there to check it out. And if you can't check it out live, guys, available wherever good podcasts can be found. And you can come back again on the YouTube channel and find it after it's up.
All right. So getting back to the CFL now, on Saturday, it was the Ottawa Red Blacks over our beloved Toronto Argonauts by the score of 46-42. Toronto led 22-1 at the end of the first quarter after defensive lineman Jordan Williams recovered a fumble and returned it 77 yards for a touchdown. In the second quarter, Argos wide receiver Jake Herslow hurdled over a defender and kept the drive going, which led to a field goal and a 25-19 lead for the Argonauts at halftime. The two teams traded scores in the third quarter, and Ottawa held a slim 32-31 lead going into the fourth quarter. With 2 minutes and 50 seconds left in the game, a field goal gave Toronto a 42-39 lead, but Ottawa came back and scored a touchdown with 41 seconds left for the 46-42 lead. Toronto trailed by 4 points, and they were working their way down the field. And that's when Argos quarterback Nick Arbuckle threw an interception that ended any chance of a comeback. Ottawa gets a big win on the road. Another game that just was phenomenal. All these games had phenomenal endings this week.
Yes, it did. This was, oh man, I mean, Toronto blowing another big lead, and this one sucked. Because, I thought, all right, Toronto's going to get back in the win column. They can start climbing up those standings. Nah, this is once Ottawa started getting back into it, that's the Ottawa team I've seen at the beginning of the year that I thought was going to be here all year long. A lot of great plays by both teams. These are probably the best highlights of the week if I were to I mean, this and maybe the next game. It's a toss-up. This is like with the best week, it's hard to pick between all 4 of the games.
Yeah,
but I
really.
mean, can we go back and talk about that the play where Jake Herslow hurdled that defender? He started that jump so stinking early. I was worried for him watching that because you were watching this live. I had to go back after the fact, and you texted me and you're like, "Oh my God, are you watching this game? This is crazy." And yeah, this is a crazy game. But that leap, especially, I was like, he is like 5 yards away from this dude. He's not going to be able to make this hurdle, and he did, and it was awesome.
And he got some serious air on there too. He was way up in the air to hurdle that guy, and he just kept on running after that. I mean, if he hadn't gotten tackled, he probably would have run the whole way after that hurdle. Gosh, it was so cool. I think I reposted that from the CFL Twitter account, X account, sorry. So yeah, you can find it on our timeline. But man, that was awesome. That was just an awesome play.
They better find a way to use that and poster it like a Michael Jordan-esque style poster.
Yeah.
You know, black and white, do a soft, focus and just like, make it look more epic. Cause like, that's like a great poster. Kids should be hanging up there in the Great White North. Like,
yeah,
every child in Canada should have that poster on their wall now.
On the halftime show of this game, they said that was probably the second best highlight of the season so far. The first one being that one-handed interception last week. I forget the guy's name, but that was awesome. Yeah. And they were saying this is probably the second best highlight of the season so far. And we're halfway through the season now. But yeah, go check that out.
That'll be one of my favorite videos they'll put up. Is the top 10 plays or whatever from the season, because there's always something. And we're no shortage of like defensive touchdowns. Kickoff returns are always crazy when those happen. So like if I miss a game and I'm watching the highlights, as soon as they cut to a punt, I'm like, all right, what's gonna you show me a punt for a reason? Like I'm on the edge of my seat. Like what am I gonna watch?
Yeah.
But let's drop into the stats real quick. So quarterback Drew Brown for Ottawa, 26-31, 373 yards passing, and 5 touchdowns. That's one better than Al Bundy did in the city championship game. And those were through the air. Al had to do all his on the ground. But anyway, then running back William Stanback ran the ball 17 times for 84 yards. Wide receiver Braylon Addison had 7 catches for 115 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Justin Hardy, 7 catches for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wide receiver Eugene Lewis had 5 catches for 51 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wide receiver Khalil Pimpleton from Central Michigan University here in the great state of Michigan had 3 receptions for 62 yards, 2 punt returns for 62 yards, and 3 kickoff returns for 93 yards for a grand total of 217 yards in this game. Whoa, boy. A lot of work by those skill players there in Ottawa.
Yeah, that the performance by Khalil Pimpleton is getting overshadowed by everything else that happened. But I just kept thinking every time I was looking at a highlight, it's like, oh, he's returning a punt, he's returning a kickoff, and he's just flying down the field. I know he didn't score any touchdowns, but man, oh man, he made a big difference in that game.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, you're changing the field position. I mean, that's always a big thing. And the other thing, I don't know if I noticed it so much in this game, maybe a little bit, but did you notice this week especially? I hate to go off on a tangent. We'll finish the Toronto stats in a second. But a lot of teams, when they've kicked off now, the receiving team is now let the ball roll into the end zone, and they just kind of give it up. I don't remember seeing that a lot this season on the kickoffs especially. I felt like this week it was a trend. I don't know if that's just something I picked up on just this weekend. I mean, if anybody else noticed in the chat, let me know.
Yeah. I noticed that too. Yeah. There were a couple of games where, normally a guy will pick up the ball at the, 15-yard line or so. But they're letting it, I don't know if the kickers are getting them farther downfield or what, but yeah, I noticed that there were two different games where they gave up a rouge instead of returning a kickoff back. So yeah, I caught that too. I don't know why.
Yeah. All right, we'll jump into the Toronto stats, but I want to bring up this comment from our friend. I smacked the microphone. Our friend, Canadian Tim Capper up there. Sir, how are you doing? 3 of the 4 winners this week all came back from 12 points or more to win. Yeah, some crazy. if you're not watching the CFL, people, what are you doing with your life? Some great regular season football, not this preseason crap we're dealing with down here in the States, but meaningful, awesome Canadian football is being played, and you're all missing out. All right, let me get to the Toronto stats. I know. For Toronto, quarterback Nick Arbuckle, 32 of 38 passing for 317 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. He also ran the ball for 19 yards and had a rushing touchdown. Wide receiver Dejon Brissett had 6 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Jake Herslow also had 6 catches for 84 yards and a touchdown.
Wow. Yep, man, I'm telling you, this was absolutely the best week of games to watch. And we still got one more to
talk about. Yeah. And,
this
is the third win of the season for Ottawa. They are now in 3rd place in the East, while Toronto drops down to 4th place. We'll look at the standings in a little bit.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the final game of the week. Another Saturday game. The Calgary Stampeders, yes, I'm wearing their colors today, defeated the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 28-27, another 1-point game. Winnipeg led 10-0 at the end of the first quarter and was also up 23-16 at halftime. Winnipeg led 23-22 going into the fourth quarter. With 1 minute and 1 second left in the game, Winnipeg kicker Sergio Castillo kicked a 63-yard field goal, giving the Bombers a 26-25 lead. But Calgary kicker Rene Paredes kicked a 40-yard field goal as time expired for the walk-off win at home. Who says kickers aren't important? They are very important in the CFL, and they've got some good ones up there.
It's not the distance of the kick that matters, Randy. It's when you kick it. And and clearly, hey, a 40-yarder to win it, still awesome.
Yes.
And I wasn't sure that the 63-yarder by Castillo, that wasn't a record in the CFL, was. I saw conflicting tweets. I wasn't 100% sure. I should have looked it up, but
yeah, I did not see that it was a record, so I'm thinking that it's not. But still, 63 yards, that's pretty darn impressive. Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
I mean, kicking across any form of football and the leagues that use kicking, the Arena League, it doesn't matter the scenario, even a preseason game. And tomorrow we're going to talk an NFL kicker kicking a 70-yarder in a preseason game. The kicking in those type of games, it's always important to me. And there's more value in seeing that as opposed to other elements of like preseason football. But like this dude booed a 63-yarder. Are there NFL teams now calling Winnipeg and be like, hey, what can we ship up there to get this guy down here?
Yeah, I don't know. They just might be. You never can tell. Calgary sweeps the season series with Winnipeg for the first time since 2016, and both teams finally had their starting quarterbacks on the field this week. Both had been injured for a week or two, and so they were back at full strength. And boy, what a great game this was.
It was very slow start for Calgary, though. I mean, when they came out the gate, it was all Winnipeg. I was like, yikes. I mean, I know you just got Vernon Adams back, but man, oh man, it's just it was tough to watch at first. I was like, man, I was kind of pulling for Calgary. And eventually, once they got rolling, I think it was 4 possessions. They kind of went without doing much at the beginning of the game. And then they finally started picking things up, made it close by halftime. And then second half was pretty much all Calgary. Calgary kind of finally took control and, got this win. So good for them. And they've cleared their win total from last year. So that's a big positive sign too for them. So, Tim, again, Edmonton came back from 12 and Calgary 17, and Ottawa was down 21 points at one point during that other game. So what a fantastic, what more can we say about the CFL, guys? It's awesome. No lead is safe. I can't tell you how many games we've watched this year alone where it's been like, oh, Toronto's up by 3 scores. They don't got this. Oh,
again, better than NFL preseason.
No, they don't. But all right, should I do stats now, Randy?
Go ahead.
All right, the winning team, as we always start off with stats-wise, quarterback Vernon Adams in his return, 17-24 for 300 yards even and 2 touchdowns. Running back Dedrick Mills ran the ball 18 times for 105 yards. Wide receiver Jalen Philpott had 5 catches for 88 yards, and wide receiver Tevin Jones had 2 catches for 86 yards. And 2 touchdowns. So your 2 catches for 2 touchdowns. That's pretty nice. Then you had kicker Rene Paredes was 4 of 5 on his field goals, including that game winner we talked about to seal this one up. On the other side, Zach Caleros in his return, 21 of 26 for 214 yards and a touchdown. He also ran the ball 3 times for 23 yards. Running back Brady Oliveira ran 12 times for 68 yards. He also led the team in receiving with 9 catches for 100 yards. There was one catch he had that was very impressive. He caught it in traffic, looked really good. And the kicker Sergio Castillo was 4 for 4 on his field goals, including that awesome 63-yarder. And then on bye this week, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So,
all right. Well, let's look at the standings now after week 10 in the CFL. And we're going to start in the Western Division this time. You've got your Saskatchewan Roughriders at 7-1, Calgary Stampeders at 6-3, Winnipeg Blue Bombers at 4-4, BC Lions at 4-5, and the Edmonton Elks at 2-6. And then in the East, you've got the Hamilton Tiger Cats at 6-3, Montreal Alouettes at 5-4, Ottawa Red Blacks at 3-6, and the Toronto Argonauts at 2-7. Oh, come on, Toronto, let's get things going here. You played well, but
I mean,
it's
Ottawa,
not showing.
All right, Ottawa got that win, but they still got to be careful because that cross. I mean, you know me, I am pulling for that crossover spot unless Toronto can get their act together and move up in the standings. Otherwise, sorry, Ottawa, I'm going to be pulling for that crossover spot. And before we move on from that, I want to bring up this awesome stat I saw on the CFL's X page. The games were decided by a total of 9 points. Like, how crazy is that? What a tight weekend. I mean, we already had Tim in the live chat talking about how a lot of these teams came back from deficits to get these wins. But the fact that through 4 games, 9 points was separated winners and losers total, because you had 2 1-point games, the 4-point game between Ottawa and Toronto, and then the 3-point game between BC and Hamilton. This is the best week of the CFL season so far, right? We're only 10 weeks in.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yep. All right, let's look ahead to next week's games, week 11 in the CFL. On Thursday night, you've got Ottawa at Winnipeg. You've got Toronto at Edmonton on Friday night, Hamilton at Saskatchewan on Saturday, and then later Saturday night is going to be Montreal at BC. And next week it's going to be the Calgary Stampeders on bye. And 3 of these games are going to be on CBS Sportsnet here in the States. I mean, you can always catch all of these games on CFL Plus. It's a great streaming service. We can't say enough good things about it. But for those in the States, if you don't want to pull out your laptop, which why wouldn't you? You can always watch them on CBS Sportsnet. The only one that's on CFL Plus is the Friday night Toronto at Edmonton game. That one you will have to pull out your laptop and stream that one. But the other ones, you can all catch them on CBS Sportsnet. So,
and of the 4 games, what's the one, Randy? What's your game of the week going into week 11?
Well, I'm really rooting for my Toronto Argonauts to beat Edmonton, but I think the game of the week is going to be Hamilton at Saskatchewan. I mean, Saskatchewan's got the best record, and Hamilton is playing real well, but they've got to go on the road. So we'll see. After a week off, the Saskatchewan play well or not.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the top 2 teams in both divisions should be fun. Hamilton coming off of a tough loss. I mean, I'm sure they'll be scrapping rearing to go, but I'm sure Saskatchewan with that defense, that'll be a fun one. I don't know who comes out on top. That's a coin flip, but that'll be a fun one. But I'm low-key excited about that Toronto-Edmonton game. A couple of the bottom dwellers going at it in a fist fight. We'll see. I think this is another winnable game for Edmonton, unfortunately. But if Toronto can hold on to a lead and not let Edmonton come back into it, that'd be nice. But Edmonton's showing some scrappiness. Toronto's let a few games slide in their fingers, so it wouldn't shock me if Edmonton takes that one.
Yeah, unfortunately. I agree with that.
All right, and then
sorry.
Thank you for the clarification in the live chat. Tim Castillo's 63-yard field goal tied the league record. So Tim just on top of things for us here. We salute you, sir. We appreciate you, Timmy.
Tim has a long history of keeping us on our toes and correcting us whenever we need correcting, but in a nice way.
He's just sitting up there. He's like, "Oh, the boys are doing this live. Okay, well, I'm gonna be ready to go."
Yeah, what can I catch him on this week? Because there's always something. A couple of stories that came out this week. You weren't watching this game, so you didn't see this, but in the Argonauts game, 2 former Argonauts players were added to the list of all-time Argos. That's kind of like your Wall of Fame. Everybody calls it something different. Some have a Wall of Fame, Wall of Honor, whatever. But they have a list of all-time Argos. That means you're one of the greatest players in team history. And during this past game, this past week, offensive lineman Chris Schultz, who played for the team from 86 to 94, and the late Nick Volpe, a halfback and a kicker from 1949 to 1952, were both added to the all-time Argos list. And they have a banner on one side of the stadium that lists all the names of the players. And I always enjoy looking at it because there's a name on there, and it just says Curtis. But I know for a fact that is Ulysses Crazy Legs Curtis, is one of their all-time Argos, and he is buried just down the road from us in Albion, Michigan. I visited his grave a couple of years ago. I wrote an article about him, but I think we might need to do a video, go back and visit his grave again. He's got a really nice headstone with some of his stats and whatever on his grave. But yeah, just an all-time Argo right down the road from us, buried in the cemetery in Albion, Michigan. And the other story that came out this week was that the CFL Combine is headed to Edmonton next March. The city of Edmonton last held the CFL Combine in 2023. So it's been 3 years. I had forgotten that they were moving this thing around to other cities. For the longest time, it was always in Toronto. But now they're starting to, pass it around to some of the other teams. So I think that's a good thing. So that should be fun. I always like getting some of the highlights from some of these guys, lifting weights and running 40-yard dash and all that. So yeah, it's going to be in Edmonton next year.
So what you're saying is that we need to submit our World of Football credentials to them so we can go see the CFL's version of the Underwear Olympics. I see what you're saying.
Edmonton in March? I don't know. I think we need a snowplow escort to get up there at that time of year, but we'll see. Who knows? All right. That's all for this week. Tune in again next week when Adam and I will review all the games played up north of the border. We'll be here throughout the CFL regular season, the postseason, as well as the 112th Grey Cup game in Winnipeg on November 16th. Check out highlights of all the games in the CFL each week at cfl.ca/videos. If you want to expand your football IQ and you need help picking out a team to follow in the CFL, we can assist you with that. You'd be just surprised how much fun this CFL really is. We've been watching it for years. I went to my first game in '94. I saw Doug Flutie play with Calgary, and it's been a big part of my life for many years. So yeah, people need to be following the CFL in the States. If you have any questions about the CFL, you can ask us down in the comments of this video. If we don't know the answer, we've got people in Canada, friends of ours, who would love to step in and answer some of those questions, like Tim does every time he's watching us do something. And so, yeah, if we don't know the answer, we've got friends in Canada who do. So remember, people, sometimes people, I'm screwing this up. So remember, some people may love football more than we do. I love being live, Some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than Adam and I sitting here in Kalamazoo, Michigan, talking about the Canadian Football League. Until next time, I'm Randy Snow.
And go Lions in 2 leagues, in the NFL and the CFL.
And we'll see you all again next week, somewhere around the 55-yard line.